Okay, thank you. My name is Jeansson, Geodata Strategist at Urban Planning Authority here in Gothenburg, a colleague of Ola. Thanks for inviting me to this conference, Standards in Action. It's a pleasure being here. Interesting discussion. I think we'll be also in lunch and the coffee breaks. I'm here to talk about the CU project, or European Citiverses Uniting for Inclusiveness. That's a much longer name. I prefer the CU name, of course. And Ola mentioned a little bit about the project. I'm going to dive into it. If I could get to the next slide. Like this instead. Okay. I'm going to talk about, of course, the actual project, the call, and a little bit about Metaverse and Citiverse. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I hope you are. Otherwise, I will tell you a little bit about it. And of course, a little bit about Virtual Gothenburg, as Ola also mentioned, standardization regarding this, and the deliverables we have from the project. Starting with the call, the Citiverse call. This is part of the Digital Europe program, which is, the project is funded by the EU, and quite a large program regarding digitalization in Europe. And part of this program is regarding Citiverses, and we have a specific Citiverse call within the program. And this call is about develop open solution for Citiverse to offer interoperable and sustainable services ranging from concrete technologies and platforms, use cases for citizens, business, and community planners. Test open solutions through a series of real-life use cases. I'm going to talk a little bit about the use case later, but we have 4 funded projects within the program, and the CU is one of them. We also have Excite, Sense, and 3D Xverse. So if you're interested about the other projects, you can go into the website regarding Digital Europe and Citiverses and dive into those projects as well. But I'm going to talk about the CU project. The goal of this project is how to make cities more accessible, meaning the city is for everyone. And how can we make that with new technologies and new standardization, of course? And how can we lower the threshold for physical visits and make it possible for everyone to visit every place within the city? I don't know if you're familiar with universal design, usability, and accessibility, but we can see this as in the picture. The children are looking over the fence or not looking over the fence in the first image. And then we create solutions to help that boxes the children can stand on. But that's exactly the wrong way to do it. We must think in the beginning, how can we make this accessible for everyone in the beginning? How to design a smart universal solution. That's universal design. And the definitions, the contrast between universal design, usability, and accessibility. We often talk about accessibility in our physical environment. But universal design is perhaps a more broader way to put it. Design of products, environments, programs, and services to be usable for all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. Usability is more like how can we use that in the best way, and accessibility is actually how can you move from one spot to another, depending on who you are. So this is good to know that before we go deeper into the project. The Citiverse project is in this secluded area, the event area in the city of Gothenburg. We have the arenas like Scandinavium, the Ullevi arenas, and soccer arenas, and so on. So this is a very interesting place to look into accessibility for the visitors of the different events. We are a consortium of several partners in Europe, of course, mainly from the city of Gothenburg, but also Finland, Bulgaria, Romania, the Netherlands. The project is divided into 6 work packages, where work package 2 is working with the universal design, the needs of the universal design of the city. And we have work package 4 working with the application and development of the application. And work package 3, which I'm project manager for, is more creating the digital twin for this project. And in work package 3, we're going to deliver a high-resolution 3D model, or you could call it a digital twin. And it's based on virtual Gothenburg, as Ola mentioned a little bit about earlier. And we're, of course, working with the information model as a base for the data. And we're also collecting all the accessibility objects within the physical environment as a base for the application. We're perhaps somewhere in the middle of the project right now. It's a 30-month project, and we're finishing in 2027. We have the Gothenburg Horse Show in Arena, Scandinavian Arena, and we're going to test the application to the public and visitors of the events. Okay, something about metaverses and Citiverses. We see that the landscape is changing right now. We have the metaverses and Citiverses, which could be a metaverse for the citizens. And we could also talk about the spatial web. Everything is connected with each other in the spatial universe. This is very interesting to see how we can form the future of geodata regarding spatial and also geo AI, working with language model with the spatial context. The difference between local digital twins, as we have talked a lot about in Europe for several years, we can say local digital twin is a replica of the physical environment with the data layers that you add upon and that you can access by multiple applications and interfaces. But the metaverse is more like a set of connected virtual worlds that you can actually dive into and explore from the inside. And the development of GIS, geographic information, to this kind of metaverse is ongoing. Perhaps a digital twin is somewhere in the middle. We have worked with GIS, now work with digital twins. Somewhere in the future, we're more like working with this kind of virtual worlds that are connected to each other. From the European Union, the definition about the Citiverse could be like this. A series of interconnected and distributed hybrid and virtual worlds representing and synchronized with their physical counterpart. I think Torbjörn Larin in the back will talk more about Citiverses and the standards that's laying behind this and the work with standardization. Virtual Gothenburg then. I'm a project manager for the development of the digital twin of Gothenburg. We call it Virtual Gothenburg. And this will be the base for the Citiverse application that we develop in this project. And if we look into the data as it looks like right now, we have a quite detailed picture of the ground surfaces in the central part of the Gothenburg. This is essential when we work with accessibility and that kind of information. And perhaps you've seen this picture, otherwise you were sleeping. So take the next one. If you go further into the information model that we have used within the project, it's the same that we have this accessibility. I must stand with the microphone. I have long arms. Yeah. And if we dive into that, we could see that this concept, this is actually developed by the Sofia University within the project, our partner at Gate University. And here we can see that we work with the buildings. We're also going to work with the ground surface and add attributes regarding accessibility and make that to some kind of conceptual ADE to CityGML. So this is quite interesting work, and you can see that we can have the base that we can replicate to others, making the same kind of development and projects in the EU. This is a small film clip showing our virtual Gothenburg, and here you can see the different colors of the ground surface, and they're actually representing different kinds of different attributes regarding the ground material, like concrete, stone pavement, and so on. So we have all the information stored in the database and model, as Ola described, in the city information model, and then we can visualize it in the actual digital twin application. This is an example of a ground surface. You also have, of course, the buildings and the vegetation, the trees, what kind of species of the tree, the height, and so on. This is actually GIS data, GIS application, but more like a digital twin. I was actually working with GIS in 25 years. Like I say, I would working with digital twins in 25 years. I think it's the same thing. Do you agree? Some way. Okay, universal design. This is the main focus in this project, and we have dived into that in the application. We have been working with different kind of avatars to populate the model. And here's an example of a wheelchair simulator that will be some part of the project. You can see how you can move and find wayfinding, find the right way if you are using a wheelchair. We have this information and we can use it for visualization and for analysis of the ground surface regarding to some kind of problematic, like if you're sitting in a wheelchair and so on. We could also work with the different slope, and you could actually visualize the slope of different colors in the application so that you could see where it's possible to move. One problem in this project is connecting the exterior with the interior. I don't actually know if we have made that connection regarding standardization. Of course, we have CityGML, and perhaps we have indoor GML. We are looking into that in the project. We were not decided what kind of information model we're going to use for the interiors. Of course, this is BIM data, building information models. And it's a lot of data describing different things, but not in this kind of logical way that we want to. So this is a very interesting scope to talk further on how we integrate the exterior with interiors in this kind of metaverses and Citiverses. So I actually give that question to you to solve. We have different arenas, the Nya Ullevi arena, which is from a BIM model that we read into the virtual Gothenburg model. And we also have another arena, it's Old Ullevi, it's actually the New Ullevi, but it's called Old Ullevi. That's a Gothenburg problem. Okay, something about standardization. I had to say this, actually, Ola mentioned this, but I think it's very important to talk about the local scale and the national scale and the EU scale here. We have this kind of cooperation with the National Land Survey, as Ola mentioned. But it's very important to see this as different scale, but the same actual information model. We just have different kind of scalability and different attributes, but it's actually the same ID, the same type of information connected to, example, a building, a street, and so on. And that information should go through all the scales, and that's very important to have. It's built on the same information model. So we're starting with the local scale here. We're talking with the National Land Survey about the national scale. We also have discussion with the EU of the more EU scale regarding this. So perhaps we'll get back to this. Also when Torbjörn is talking about the Citiverses, more like and also the national scales of it. Deliverables from the project. We call the solution Accessity. I don't know if that would be the final name, we call it right now. And that should be an aspiring interactive service that makes urban spaces more accessible to everyone. Solution with inclusiveness and people's needs at the center. A mobile-first service accessible from one's own device. Setting a new standard for accessibility and inclusion in urban environment. Scalable and replicable for other municipalities around Europe. And good opportunities to collaborate with more organizations and develop the tool over time. And certainly cooperation regarding standardization of Citiverse information. If you could summarize this, we're heading for the Gothenburg Horse Show, then we'll have this application, and we'll go into accessibility needs with a universal design as a focus, and using our local digital twins and AI-enhanced tools for questioning and for the visitors to have quite smart and accessible answers to the environment. And here's an example of how it could look like as a proof of concept that we made for a mobile device. So finally, we see that this kind of metaverse thinking, metaverse technique will have great importance for us in the city in the future. We see that we could actually create multiple metaverses for different needs, for democracy, for climate change adaptation, for history of the time, and for the visitor industry, perhaps. Like the different pages in the internet, like different Citiverses creating new opportunities for different purposes. And perhaps some final inspiration. This could be the Citiverse in the future of the Gothenburg. Here we see the word Gothenburg and presented like some kind of Citiverse that we can actually dive into. And this is Götaplatsen with different buildings, municipal buildings like libraries and so on. Perhaps you, in the future, could go into these buildings and get the services that you need, perhaps lend some books from the library, and you can go into the arena before the event and see where you're going to sit and explore things regarding accessibility, for instance, and how we can work with the central parts of the city regarding urban design, urban planning and so on, and for some kind of democracy platform. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It was great. I really like the concept of the multiverse and extending that beyond accessibility. So I think that's got a lot of miles. You did talk about GIS BIM. We do have GIS BIM experts. This idea of a seamless navigation from outside to inside, and also the concept of a building in its situation and then using GIS for its environment. In fact, one of our experts is sitting over there. Yeah. So okay. He'll be able to tell you a few things about standardization in that area. So do we have any questions at all? One from Chris at the back. Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you very much. My name is Chris Boddy from Australia. This is probably not a technical, well, it isn't a technical question. It is about the economics of using this type of information for your city. What level do you see the economic benefit for the city to using this type of information going forth in town planning, assisting citizens and making city life a lot more livable? Thank you.
Perhaps that's the best question of the year. That's my thought from early morning when I wake up to I go to bed. How could we actually talk about this kind of benefits, economical benefits? It's like working with GIS, where we've been working with that for 20, 30 years, and we have seen that as with the benefits that we have for working with the GIS information and managing the data in smart ways, like more data strategies. So we have looked into possibly 120 different ways to work with the digital twin, and every solution, of course, it could be, we could have benefits from an economical side of seeing it. So, but we haven't made some calculations. And if we work with the digital twin in the city of Gothenburg, how much could we earn by doing that? So it's more like a development that is progressing all over the time, and we see that this is a smart way to do it. Perhaps I can get back to you in some years with the economical analysis, because we're working on that, and see it's also how we can make this work within the whole municipality. We have to talk about the economical benefits, of course, so there's a way to get things happen. But I have to get back to you with a conclusion. Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm Jeansson from China. So I think your project is part of some such as geodata information infrastructure. Yeah, that something our interest. So my question is, have you or will you integrated your project with some technologies such as 5G, IoT, or cloud computing to support the decision making, such as helping people with disabilities or elderly people to get their trace or get their where they are, and give them some decisions to make and help them to go smoothly? Yeah, that is my question.
Bad hearing. Can you take the question about?
Have you or will you get integrated your project with some technologies such as 5G, yes, and cloud computing, yes, get the real sensor data? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a question about the accessibility data or
supporting some decision making. That may be the future of this project, I think.
Yeah. So all the data is a quite complex project regarding all the data that we have within the project, and we're going to, all of this are going to be open solutions and open data from the project. The City of Gothenburg is a kind of not open data yet, and that we're not going to present to the outside, but the conclusion from the project and the data that we have been using in the project will be free for others to use. And we also have the accessibility data that we work on. We actually don't know how we're going to work with that later from the project, but this is actually different data sources that we have within the city from different departments. So they actually quite complex project regarding the data. The data are from several departments, not just from one department. So the data governance issue is also quite complex. We collect all the data and store it in what Ola mentioned, the 3D City database. We're planning on making every data into the 3D database, and then we can distribute it. So there's a complex question about the data sources and how we can work with it and how we can present it from the project. I don't actually that would answer to your question, but it's very complex.
Got it. We also face the same problems, but maybe this project will be an application to other department.
Yeah, it will be application, but that will, we're exploring what we could call the Citiverses. So it's actually not a final application that you or others could use. This is more like exploring work, and how can you work with this kind of standardization and implementation in what we call the Citiverse and so on. But all the results will be free, of course, within the EU, so you can work with it and get your own conclusion about what we have done. And of course, it's collaboration, and we can talk to each other. How can you help each other? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got time for just one more question.
Yeah, good morning. This is Datta again from India. Actually, this is in the extensions of the questions from Chris and the experience what we feel like really implementing this type in the ground level. Because if you see that, as you have told, from the GIS to digital twin to the metaverse. So this is a digital infrastructure pathway which is evolving, which is not yet the standardized. Ultimately, all of this thing we are doing to improve the physical infrastructure efficiency by reducing the different type of the uncertainties in that. So I think the economical benefit of that has to be looked in the context of linking with the physical infrastructures efficiency improvement, then only we can, because if we only look it into the digital infrastructures efficiency will not reach anywhere because the technology will evolve. So probably you can look it into that, and for a particular in the context of a particular physical infrastructures, this type of an introductions of the digital infrastructure, irrespective of the technology, that how the efficiency in terms of an economics it will improve.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, this is like the iceberg. We saw that the main part is how we work with data and interoperability and the standards regarding that. Then you can actually build whatever on the top.
Okay, I'm going to have to move on actually, but thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you very much.